But what we're really here for, the big stuff. If you look at these stack of papers I have here with notes, man, we've got the college football quarterfinals. And what better one to start with than the Cotton Bowl between the number 10 Miami Hurricanes and the number 2 Ohio State Buckeyes. It's going to be played Wednesday night, New Year's Eve, 7:30 Eastern, which is 6:30 local. It's at AT&T in Arlington Stadium, home of the Cotton Bowl nowadays. It's going to be on ESPN, and the winner is going to advance to the semifinals, obviously. Coming in, we have the defending champion, national champion, the Ohio State Buckeyes, and the number 2 seed coming off their first game since the loss in the Big Ten championship against Indiana, which seems like it was a month ago, which is actually kind of close to that, right? They're led by their Heisman finalist quarterback, Julian Sayin. They've got their standout wide receiver, Jeremiah Smith, and they've got one of the top-ranked defense in the country coming to town. And though they do have some people that may be sidelined and some questionable, this is a deep Ohio State team, and they're going to be ready to roll. On the other side, you have the number 10 Miami Hurricanes coming into town after making their first appearance in the college football playoff, coming off that win in College Station against the Texas A&M Aggies, 10-3. They were really physical, dominant, or on the offensive line. I mean, you could say it went both ways, and dominant, I kind of throw that around a little loosely there, but they went through the wind, had a poor passing game, solid run game. They got the job done what they needed to. They've got a strong defense, one of the best defensive lines in the country, a very strong offensive line. They're known for their trench play. They're not somebody that's going to get bullied around and just pushed around very easy. So they're coming in, led by Carson Beck, obviously. They've got Fletcher at their running back. They've got Ruben Bain and Medusa on their 2 rush ends. We're going to see if those guys really are what they said they are. And yeah, we're going to get into it. It's really good. This is an all-time series. This is one of those that you look back and you say, hey, these are classic matchups that you get. These are 2 premier football programs in college football history. Ohio State going back as far as anybody can remember, and then really, Miami going back to those 80 teams with Jimmy Johnson, and then you have those early 2000 teams where you look at it with Ray Lewis and whoever you want to say. There's plenty of people on there that I'm not mentioning. All time, they've met 5 times. Ohio State leads 3-2. The only other previous postseason meeting was in 2003 in the Fiesta Bowl. That was the national championship game where Ohio State won in double overtime. Huge game. There was a lot of controversy in that game. Hopefully, we see a lot. Ohio State's coming in favored by 9.5 points, and you got an over/under of 40-ish points here. Defensive battle, offensive battle. What do you think here, Emilio?
I'm really excited for you to do the rundown on the numbers on this one. I have in my mind the direction I want to go, but I want to be moved off of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited for you to dive into the numbers on that because I think that might persuade me a little bit. But I see this one being a defensive affair because both of these defenses, I believe, are very good. But I see Ohio State's defense having better luck.
Yep. Both of these teams, so if you want to know about that, okay, so both these teams are top 10 defenses when it comes to overall defense. If you look at just the points that are allowed, Ohio State allows 8.2 points a game, which is first in the country. Miami allows 13 points, which is number 5. Total defense, Ohio State's given up 213.5 yards, which is number 1 overall. Miami's given up 281 yards, which is number 11 here. On the pass defense, they're both even, both giving up 171.5 yards a game. And then if you look at the rush, this is where really the rubber meets the road. Ohio State only gives up 87 yards a game, while Miami is giving up 151 yards per game on the defenses. So both of these defenses are top-tier defenses. They're elite. You can look at each of their schedules, I think, and say, hey, Ohio State played a few tougher teams, but really the bulk of the schedule, really where the meat is, that those teams probably compared to some of the teams in the ACC, I think that you could have that argument, right? Nobody's saying that the ACC is as good as the Big Ten. That's not what I'm saying, but I think that they both had somewhat of a lackluster schedule. Ohio State did play, Indiana in the Big Ten championship. fared really well against them. They played Texas at the beginning of the year. They held them to 7 points and shut the offense down. And then all in between that, it's kind of, played Michigan, right? Other than that, I mean, there's not really a lot of solid wins there, right? Miami lost 2 games. There's a lot you can talk about there. On the offensive side, though, if you look at it, both come in with top 30 offenses in the nation. So points per game, Ohio State's averaging just under 35 at 34.9 points a game, gets them in the top 15. Miami's averaging 32.2, gets them in the top 30. Total offense yards per game, Ohio State's averaging 429 and a half yards per game, while Miami's averaging 414 yards per game. Passing yards, 255 for Ohio State versus 261 and a half for Miami. And then rushing yards, Ohio State is averaging 151.9 yards, and Miami's averaging the exact same, actually, if you look at that. So, some key characteristics there. If you're looking at these teams, for me, just kind of looking at it, really, what it comes down to for me is that we know both of these teams are talented on the trenches, right? They both have talented offensive lines. They both have talented defensive lines that can get after the quarterback. They can stop the run. They can do these things. Really comes down to the quarterback play. They've got weapons on the outside. They've got solid running backs behind them. What quarterback play? Who's going to be able to make more plays? Carson Beck has, in the past, he has proven that he can make these plays, right? He's been deep in the playoffs with some teams. He's proven this year that he can make those plays. The more that you talk about, or more that I hear people talk about how that game was that Saturday in Texas A&M and how bad the wind really was, kind of puts it more into perspective as far as like how hard it really was to throw and what the defensive coordinators on each side of the ball were saying, hey, we're really going to hone in on this because if you want to go out there and pass and do this stuff, go for it. And I think we saw that with Marcel Reed just as far as how inaccurate he is. I don't want to say that it was completely the wind, but maybe the wind did play a big factor in him, being an inaccurate quarterback as it is and then contributing to that, right? They really limited Carson Beck down in that aspect. He didn't have the big numbers. He just threw for just over 100 yards, but you didn't go out there saying, hey, Carson Beck he just played horrible, right? There was not that argument like there was on the other side of the football. Really, Julian Sayin comes in here. He has the highest completion percentage in the FBS at 78.4%. He threw for 3,323 yards. He had 31 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Super efficient quarterback. He's got really good play action efficiency as well, and he doesn't turn the ball over that often. Other side of the ball, Carson Beck has got a 74% completion percentage, threw for 3,175 yards, 26 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. He is a talented passer, but if he gets under pressure, he has a problem with forcing the ball into places, and he's not, in my opinion, talented enough to overcome some of those things, right? A lot of guys, when they start forcing stuff in there, it's an issue. So yeah, I mean, that's really what it is. If you look at both sides of the ball, we talked about their defense, how good it is. You've got Caden Curry, you've got a real Reese, and then Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs on the Ohio State side. A lot of first-round talent, a lot of first and second-round talent right there that we just listed off, right? Caleb Downs is predicted to be a top 10 pick. Reese is going to be a top 15 probably, linebacker spot, top 20. On the Miami side, you've got Ruben Bain, Akeem Masdour. Both of those guys are going to be first-round picks on Sunday at one point. You've got Fitzgerald, who got 2 picks against Texas A&M, the one that sealed the deal. He's young. If he continues to do the things he did, he'll be seeing him play on Sunday. And then you've got Tour, who's the leading tackle for Miami. But both have extremely talented individuals on that aspect. So, anyways, I got you your numbers. What do you think?
It will be Matt Patricia dialing up something spectacular. So
Hey,
Miami
Our TikTok followers said that Matt Patricia doesn't know the college game that well.
our TikTok followers are, I don't know what to say about them. They're great people.
Continue.
Uh, Miami, if you look at what they like to do on offense, they love the quick screen game. They like to establish the run, and they prove that they can run the ball. They have a very efficient running back if they stick to it, but they do get a little pass happy. I think they're going to have to try to rely heavily on the run. That's going to be very, very important for Carson Beck in this
Mhm.
one.
Yep.
So if they do what they did against Texas A&M and get away from the run for a while, that could spell trouble for them. When you talk about Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles, these guys fly around. If Miami tries to do the short screen game all night, these guys are going to have a feast. I mean, these are legitimate talents, and that Ohio State defensive line is very good. So I see them getting after Carson Beck. I see it looking a lot more like that Texas game for Ohio State. Very similar styles. You get a quarterback that gets a little happy in the pocket once he starts seeing some exotic stuff. I see Ohio State coming away with some turnovers. I think it's going to be a little bit bigger of a margin of victory for Ohio State than it was in that Texas game, just because of what they've been able to do. But if Miami's going to have a chance, Carson Beck is going to have to push the ball downfield, which we haven't really seen him do other than against, the school of the deaf and blind. So that's going to be a challenge for them. But if they're able to do that with Malachi Tony, if they can get him out in space, they're going to have to push the ball downfield because the short screen game is not going to cut it against this Ohio State defense. You're going to have to spread them out like Indiana did, which, if you look at it, Indiana was the first team that kind of dared to throw the ball deep on Ohio State, and it paid off big for them. So I don't know. I see this one being a 28-10 in Ohio State's favor is kind of where I'm seeing this one going. I just I don't trust Carson Beck enough, and I really that Ohio State defense is legitimate.
Yeah, I'm kind of on par with you as you were talking about it. I was thinking I really hadn't put a number on this game yet. It really comes down what we talked about, or what I was talking about with the quarterbacks here. In my, is who's going to be able to make the bigger plays and who's not going to make the mistake, right? Both teams do really good at stopping the run. There will be some success there. Can you get a run here, there? What does Fletcher bring to Miami to help tip the scale? Can he get a big run or two to give Carson Wentz Carson Wentz, oh my gosh, Carson Beck a little more time back there to come off that play action and make a play downfield and get the ball into Malachi Tony's hands? I mean, 'cause that's going to be a huge deal, right? Both, really, the playmaker battle, Jeremiah Smith and Tony against the other respective secondaries is going to be a big deal. Who can get the ball in their playmakers' hands and let it happen? Who can give their quarterback enough time in the pocket to get the ball in said playmakers' hands? Right. That's what it's going to come down to. I think that they will cause Carson Beck to have a turnover or two. Miami does a really good job of taking the ball away as well, but I think this is going to be somewhere in that 28-15 kind of game. Is where my head is. So
Yeah,
I'm going to take Ohio State 28-15. And if it became really more of a sluggish battle, I wouldn't be surprised somehow if Miami's able to pull this upset off. But I think Ohio State in the end is just too talented. They've been here before. They know what it takes. Miami may have, put a lot of energy in, even though it's been a week and a half since that, put a lot of energy into Texas A&M.
I think the one thing that kind of concerns me about Ohio State is just the time off. That's
Yeah, I can
that's
see
the
that, a
only
little
thing that
rust.
if you come out a little slow and give Miami a little bit of hope, Miami's one of those teams that you can't do that with. You're not playing Maryland, so
Correct. But Miami has to start fast, and they hadn't been able to prove that they can consistently. That's the big. So they have to. But so you've got Ohio State 28-10, and I'm 28-15. So it'll be interesting to see. That'll be a fun game. Cotton Bowl, New Year's Eve, only game sitting there besides all the other BS games like the Cheez It Bowl and all that kind of stuff where uh, whoever plays on those bowls playing. So